ever feel like you're on this treadmill?
Mm.
Like always going after the next big thing?
Yeah.
But you never quite get there. Like you never find that lasting satisfaction.
Yeah.
We're not alone.
No.
So like we're programmed to want more.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're constantly searching for something outside of ourselves to fill this void.
Right.
But what if I told you that the key to true fulfillment isn't about getting more,
Interesting.
but about letting go?
Okay.
That's what we're diving into today with J. Krishnamurti,
Cool.
a philosopher who kind of shook things up
Yeah.
when it comes to freedom, happiness, and really the nature of existence itself.
Cool.
So get ready for some mind-bending ideas.
I'm ready.
And don't forget to subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments.
Yeah, definitely.
This is a deep dive you won't want to miss.
I'm excited.
So Krishnamurti really turns our ideas about freedom upside down.
He does.
We tend to think of it as having lots of choices.
Yeah, like options.
Right. All the options.
Like a million options on Netflix or being able to travel the world.
Exactly. But Krishnamurti says that's not real freedom.
Not quite.
So explain that a little bit.
So like imagine living in a totalitarian state.
Okay.
Your choices are super limited.
For sure.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But his point is,
Okay.
even in societies where we have tons of options, those choices are still often influenced by societal structures or expectations or our own conditioning.
Nice.
So we might think we're choosing freely, but are we really? Are we just kind of following a script that someone else wrote?
So even if I can choose from a million outfits every morning.
Right, exactly.
Am I really free?
Yeah.
If I'm just picking what's trendy or what I think other people will like?
Precisely.
Okay. So Krishnamurti would say that true freedom comes from
clarity.
Okay.
Like a clarity of perception. You see through all those external pressures and you understand why you're making the choices you're making.
Got it.
He calls it right action.
Okay.
And it flows naturally from that state of clear seeing.
So it's not about how many choices we have.
Right.
It's about how aware we are when we're making those choices.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so if freedom isn't about endless options, then what about happiness?
Oh, good question.
Is that an illusion too?
Well, Krishnamurti had some pretty radical ideas about happiness.
I bet he did.
He observed that most people are, well, let's just say,
Go on.
pretty focused on themselves.
Okay.
We crave position, prestige, power. We're constantly trying to prove our worth to ourselves and to the world.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's like social media is just this giant
Oh, yeah.
craving for validation machine.
Exactly.
Right.
And Krishnamurti argued that this self-centeredness, this me-first attitude, it's actually rooted in fear and insecurity.
Oh, that makes sense.
What?
We try to build ourselves up by acquiring more, achieving more, or even by appearing more humble or compassionate.
Wow, so we're trying to fill this void with all this external stuff, whether it's like possessions or status or even trying to look good.
It's a paradox.
It is.
We think happiness is about getting more,
Yeah.
but Krishnamurti suggests that true fulfillment comes from letting go.
Letting go of all that.
Of the grasping, the striving.
Okay, hold on, though.
Yeah.
Isn't it natural to want to improve ourselves?
Of course.
To, strive for success.
Right.
I mean, that's what we're told to do.
He wouldn't necessarily say ambition is wrong,
Okay.
but he would challenge us to look at the motivation behind it. Like, is it coming from a place of genuine passion and purpose?
Okay.
Or is it driven by fear, insecurity, or this need for validation?
Oh, wow. Good question.
That's something to think about.
Right.
Okay, so we've talked about freedom. We've talked about the trap of me first.
Yeah.
What about violence?
Oh, yeah.
Krishnamurti had a lot to say about that.
He did. He wasn't just talking about physical violence, though.
Oh.
He included all the subtle ways we hurt each other.
Interesting.
Like with our words, our judgments, our manipulations.
Got it.
He saw violence as an expression of that same sense of separation.
Okay.
That us versus them mentality.
Right.
That creates so much conflict in the world.
So even something like road rage
Oh, absolutely.
would be considered a form of violence.
Yeah, think about it.
Okay.
Someone cuts you off. Suddenly it's like me against them.
I could see that.
Even if it's just for a second.
Right.
That feeling of separation can trigger all these aggressive thoughts and behaviors.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So how do we even begin to address that?
That's a big question.
Is it even possible to end violence in ourselves when we're surrounded by it in the world?
Well, Krishnamurti believed it starts with understanding the root of violence, which he saw as this illusion of separateness. We identify with our nationality, our religion, our political beliefs, and we create all these divisions between us and others.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So even when we think our anger is justified, like if someone is threatening our family, it's still coming from that sense of me and mine versus them and theirs.
That's what he would say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we want to dismantle all of this, the craving the violence, the sense of separation, surely that takes time?
What do you think?
I mean, years of therapy and self-improvement?
Well, here's where Krishnamurti throws us another curveball.
Oh.
He challenges the whole idea that change happens gradually.
Really?
He saw relying on time as a means of change.
Okay.
As a form of procrastination. It's a way of avoiding the real work.
Wow.
That needs to be done.
So you're saying that instead of waiting for someday, I need to face these challenges head on right now.
Exactly.
That's a lot to process.
It is a challenge.
But it does make sense.
It's the essence of his message.
Right.
He believed true transformation requires a radical shift in perspective.
Okay.
You have to be willing to step outside of your comfort zone.
Got it.
Outside of those habitual patterns.
So it's not about slowly improving ourselves.
Right.
It's about recognizing that real change needs a more fundamental shift.
A shift in awareness.
Yes, exactly.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, this is definitely some deep stuff.
It is.
It's like he's asking us to rewire our brains.
It's a challenge.
It is.
But it's also incredibly liberating.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
Because once we let go of that idea that change is gradual, we open ourselves up to the possibility of a much more immediate and profound transformation.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal of this radical transformation idea, but I have to admit, part of me still clings to that comfort of someday.
I think we all do.
Right. Like, I know I should be meditating every day and all that.
Yeah.
But it's so much easier to just say, oh, I'll start next week.
We all struggle with that.
Yeah.
It's natural to resist change.
Yeah.
Even when we know it's good for us.
So true.
But Krishnamurti's point is this clinging to the familiar, even to our own suffering.
Oh, wow.
That's what keeps us trapped.
I never thought of it that way.
He wants us to ask ourselves, what am I afraid of?
Okay.
What am I clinging to?
That's a good question.
Right.
Okay, so we've talked about freedom, happiness, violence, and the illusion of gradual change.
Right.
Is there a connection between all of these ideas?
Absolutely.
What is it?
Krishnamurti saw all these concepts as interconnected. They all stem from this fundamental misperception that we are separate, isolated individuals.
It's like we're walking around with these walls around us.
That's a great analogy.
And those walls are preventing us from experiencing real freedom, happiness, and connection.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm really starting to see the bigger picture here.
Good.
So how does understanding our own minds lead to this radical transformation that Krishnamurti talks about?
That's what we'll explore next as we continue our deep dive into this fascinating world.
I'm ready.
Good.
But before we move on,
I
want to hear from you. What are your thoughts so far?
Yes.
What's resonating with you? What's challenging you?
What's making you think?
What makes you want to pause and reflect?
Exactly.
Share your thoughts in the comments below.
Yeah, we want to hear from you.
I do.
After all, this deep dive is about exploring these ideas together.
That's right. And don't forget to like and subscribe to keep those brain cells firing.
Yes, keeps them active.
We'll be right back to continue our exploration of Krishnamurti's world.
Sounds good.
Where we'll delve into his ideas about consciousness thought.
Okay.
And the elusive nature of love.
I like it.
Stay tuned.
Looking forward to it.
Welcome back to our deep dive with Krishnamurti.
Yes.
Before we go any further, I'm curious.
Yeah.
When we left off, we were talking about how Krishnamurti believed that true transformation starts with understanding our own minds. It's like he's suggesting that the answers we're looking for outside ourselves are actually within us.
Exactly.
So what I find really interesting is how Krishnamurti challenges our whole idea of the self.
He does. He shakes things up.
We tend to think of ourselves as this like solid, unified entity.
Yeah, like one thing.
Right.
This whole complete person.
But he suggests that it's more like
It's more like a collection of thoughts and feelings and experiences.
So it's not as simple as just me
Not really.
being this one consistent person.
It's more complex than that.
Okay, so explain that a little bit more.
So he's saying that it's like we're made up of all these different compartments, each with their own little agenda.
Okay, I'm trying to picture this.
Yeah, it's kind of like, imagine driving a car
Okay.
and only using first gear.
Yeah.
You're moving forward, but you're missing out on all the power and speed of the higher gears.
So we're kind of stuck in this mental rut.
In a way, yeah.
But we have the potential for so much more.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do we tap into that?
That's the question.
This deeper level of awareness.
Right.
Is it about like meditating for hours on end?
Not necessarily.
Or chanting mantras or something?
Krishnamurti was actually kind of skeptical of those approaches. He felt they could become another way of escaping reality.
I see.
Another way of avoiding what's happening inside of us.
Interesting.
He believed true awareness comes from paying attention to the present moment, to what's actually happening, without judging it, without interpreting it.
So it's not about escaping into some mystical realm.
Not at all.
It's about being present.
Yes.
In our everyday lives.
Exactly.
You know, when you put it that way.
Yeah.
It reminds me of those moments when I'm completely absorbed in something.
Okay.
Like when I'm writing or having a really good conversation. And I totally lose track of time.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like I'm just completely there.
Right.
Not caught up in thoughts about the past or future.
Those are great examples.
Really?
He would say those are glimpses
of
what it means to be fully conscious, to experience the present moment directly.
Without all the mental chatter.
Exactly, without the filter of our thoughts.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's more about being a curious observer of our own experience.
Exactly.
But if we're not trying to control our thoughts or suppress our feelings, what are we supposed to do with them?
That's a good question.
Should we just let them run wild?
Well, Krishnamurti wasn't advocating for a chaotic mind.
Right.
He believed true freedom comes from understanding thought itself.
Oh, okay.
Once we see how it works, we can free ourselves
from its limitations.
Exactly.
So it's like knowing how a machine works.
Yes.
Once you understand the mechanics, you can use it more effectively. Or even choose not to use it at all.
Exactly.
Okay. So explain how our thoughts work then.
So he pointed out that thought is essentially a reaction to memory. Our thoughts are shaped by past experiences. Our conditioning, the knowledge we've accumulated.
It's like we're wearing these glasses.
Yes.
That filter everything we see.
Based on our past.
Exactly.
So we're not experiencing the world directly.
Yeah.
We're experiencing it through the lens of our past.
And that's why our thoughts can't really grasp anything new.
Exactly.
Because it's always interpreting the present through the lens of the past.
Right.
Which is probably why we get stuck in the same patterns, even when they're not working for us.
It's a trap.
It is.
Yeah.
But isn't thinking important for like...
Oh, for sure.
You know, just functioning in the world?
Of course we need thought.
Right.
To plan things.
Yeah.
To solve problems.
Right.
To go about our day.
Okay, so thought's not all bad.
No, not at all.
Sure.
But his point is, when we become too identified with our thoughts, when we believe our thoughts are who we are, that's when we get into trouble.
Oh, I see.
He believed there's a state of consciousness where thought actually comes to an end.
Wow.
Where we can experience reality directly.
Without the filter.
Exactly.
Okay, but how do we get there?
Good question.
It sounds kind of mystical and out of reach.
Well, he emphasized the importance of awareness and attention. He believed by paying close attention to the present moment, to our thoughts and feelings, we can start to see the patterns.
The habits.
Exactly, the habits of our minds.
That keep us trapped.
It's not about forcing our minds to be quiet.
Right.
It's about developing a certain kind of attention that allows us to see what's happening without getting caught up in it.
I like that.
It's like watching a play.
Oh, yeah.
You can observe the drama without getting emotionally involved.
Exactly.
Right.
So we become more like
Yisa.
Curious observers.
Of our inner world, rather than judges or critics.
So what happens then?
He suggested that in that state of observation, a profound silence can emerge.
Interesting.
Not the silence of no noise.
Okay.
but a deeper silence.
Right.
That comes from the ending of thought itself.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah.
You know, this is making me think about all the times I've tried to force myself to meditate.
Yeah.
It's like I'm trying to wrestle my thoughts into submission.
Right.
It ends up feeling like a battle.
He cautioned against that.
Okay.
He saw meditation not as a technique, but as a natural unfolding.
I see.
That comes from understanding our minds.
So it's not about adding something else to our to-do list.
No.
It's about cultivating a sense of presence
Exactly.
that permeates our lives.
That's a great way to put it.
So true meditation is about being present.
Yes.
Not about escaping.
Exactly.
Okay. This has given me a lot to think about.
Okay.
I'm starting to see how these ideas about consciousness and thought connect to what we talked about before.
Right.
Like freedom, happiness, even violence.
They're all connected.
It's like they're all pieces of the same puzzle.
That's a great insight.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of Krishnamurti's work.
It really is.
It's all interconnected.
It's like a tapestry.
Yes.
With all these different threads woven together.
To create this beautiful picture
exactly.
of what it means to be human.
Okay, so before we wrap up this part, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on all of this?
Yeah.
What resonates with you?
What challenges you?
What makes you want to pause and reflect?
Share your insights in the comments below.
Yes, we want to hear from you.
We do.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to keep those brain cells firing.
Yes, keep them active.
We'll be back with the final part.
Looking forward to it.
Of our exploration of Krishnamurti's world.
Okay.
Where we'll dive into his insights on love.
Interesting.
Death.
Okay.
And the nature of reality.
It's going to be good.
Stay tuned. All right, we're back.
Back again.
For the final part of our deep dive with Krishnamurti.
Yeah. And I have to say,
this has been quite a journey.
It has.
We've gone from freedom and happiness to the nature of our minds.
It's all connected.
It is.
Right.
And now, get ready.
Okay.
Because we're about to dive into some really deep waters.
Okay, I'm ready.
As we explore Krishnamurti's perspective on love.
Love.
And fair warning, he doesn't hold back.
No, he doesn't.
When it comes to challenging our conventional ideas about love.
Our romantic notions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So basically, he throws out the rule book.
He does.
When it comes to romance.
Yeah, he's not about roses and candlelight dinners.
So what is he about then?
Well, he saw those idealized versions of love.
Okay.
The kind we see in movies and fairy tales as distractions, even illusions that prevent us from experiencing the real deal.
So if it's not about grand gestures and happily ever afters, then what is Krishnamurti's definition of true love?
That's the question.
Right.
So for him, love wasn't an emotion that you could just manufacture.
Got it.
Or a transaction to be negotiated.
Interesting.
He saw it as a state of being that emerges naturally when the barriers of the self dissolve.
Okay. Unpack that a little bit.
So remember how we were talking about the illusion of separation? Krishnamurti believed that most of our relationships are built on this idea of me and you.
Right.
This fundamental distinction between ourselves and others.
It's like we're constantly trying to protect our own interests.
Exactly.
Trying to get what we want from the other person.
Even when we think we're acting out of love, there's often this
element.
This subtle element of self-interest.
But even when we're giving love, we might actually be seeking something in return.
It's possible.
Whether it's validation, security.
A sense of belonging.
That's the shadow side of conditional love.
It is.
According to Krishnamurti.
So that self-interest, however subtle it is, creates a barrier to true connection.
Exactly.
Like we're building walls around ourselves.
That's a good analogy.
And those walls are preventing us from truly experiencing love.
They block the connection.
So to experience true love, we need to dismantle those walls.
We do.
We need to let go of that sense of separation.
It's essential.
But how do we actually do that?
That's the million-dollar question.
It seems like a pretty tall order.
It is.
Right.
And he doesn't offer any easy answers.
Okay.
He believed true love can only emerge when the ego dissolves.
When that sense of self dissolves.
Right.
But that's not something we can just force to happen.
It's not a matter of willpower.
So it's not about trying harder to be more loving. Not about effort.
Or selfless.
It's more about understanding.
Okay.
It's a natural unfolding.
I see.
That happens when we understand the nature of our minds. when we see through that illusion of separation.
So it's like that shift in perception.
Exactly.
What we talked about earlier.
Like that radical shift where we let go.
Of the beliefs and thought patterns.
That keep us trapped.
Okay, it's all starting to come together.
Good.
Freedom, happiness, love, they're all interconnected.
They are.
They all point to this deeper reality that's
beyond our usual way of thinking.
It's like Krishnamurti's work is this giant tapestry.
I like that analogy.
And we're just starting to see
the patterns.
The patterns in the connection.
And how it all fits together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if we can't grasp love,
right?
If we can't possess it,
if it's not something we can hold on to,
how do we even know?
Yeah, how do we know?
If we've experienced it.
Right, what does it feel like?
What does true love actually feel like?
Well, he described it as this feeling of freedom, compassion, and interconnectedness.
Interesting.
It's a state of being where there's no longer a sense of separation.
Between us and others.
Exactly.
So it's not just romantic love.
No.
It's about feeling a deep connection.
Yes.
With all of life.
With everything.
Wow.
He saw true love as a transformative force that can heal the divisions within us and in the world around us.
Powerful stuff.
It is.
You know what it makes me think about?
Yeah.
All the times we use the word love so casually.
Right.
Like, I love pizza.
Yeah, or I love this song.
Exactly.
Like you might say, it's not about policing language.
Right.
But about being aware of the different levels of meaning that we attach to the word.
So there's a difference between the love we feel for pizza and the love that comes from a deeper sense of connection.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's not about denying ourselves those simple pleasures.
Not at all.
But recognizing that true love is something much deeper.
Something more profound and transformative. And that deeper love, he said, can only be experienced when we let go.
Of our attachment.
Of our fears.
Our need to control.
Exactly.
Okay, we've covered a lot with love.
We have.
And there's another topic.
Yeah.
That Krishnamurti didn't shy away from.
He didn't.
Death.
It can be a bit of a downer.
It can.
But I'm curious to hear his perspective.
So he had a very radical way of looking at death.
Okay.
He saw it not as something to be feared.
Interesting.
But as an inevitable part of life.
Okay.
A natural transition.
So no elaborate belief systems.
Not really.
About what happens after we die.
He wasn't interested. Providing those kinds of stories. So no reincarnation. No heaven or hell.
He encouraged people to face the reality of death.
Okay.
Without any illusions.
That's pretty intense.
It is.
But didn't he also talk about
the
importance of dying to the known?
Yes.
Is that related?
Absolutely.
Okay, tell me more.
So remember how we talked about shedding old skin?
Yeah.
He saw this psychological death, this letting go.
Of our attachments.
Of our beliefs.
As essential for experiencing.
For true freedom and awakening.
So in a way, it's like a rehearsal.
Yeah.
For the ultimate letting go.
The ultimate letting go.
That comes with physical death.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
So by letting go of the smaller things, our fear.
Our attachments.
Our need to control.
We become more prepared.
So that final letting go.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
He believed this process of dying to the known.
Yeah.
It's not a one-time event. It's a continual process.
Interesting.
Of letting go. Of surrendering to the flow of life.
So it's about embracing the unknown.
Yes.
The mystery of what lies beyond.
Exactly.
You know, it seems like Krishnamurti's teachings are ultimately about living fully.
Living fully.
Both in life and in the face of death.
You got it.
That's a great way to sum it up.
His work isn't about easy answers or following rules.
It's about awakening.
It is.
To the fullness of life.
To the richness of this moment.
Exactly.
Right here, right now.
This has been an incredible journey.
It has.
Exploring Krishnamurti's world.
His fascinating world.
We covered so much.
We have.
From freedom and happiness to the nature of our minds.
And love and death.
That's a lot to take in.
It is.
But what I appreciate most is how he emphasizes the importance of self-discovery.
Of being our own teachers, finding our own way.
He's not giving us a dogma.
No.
He's giving us a path.
A path to explore.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
He's inviting us to question everything.
To challenge our assumptions.
To step outside of our comfort zones.
To see things in a new way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, this has been an incredible exploration
It has.
of J. Krishnamurti's thought-provoking world.
I agree.
And we hope it sparked your curiosity.
Yes.
And inspired you
to go on your own journey.
to embark on your own journey of self-discovery.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
we want to hear from you.
We do.
What resonated with you?
What stood out?
What questions are you still grappling with?
Share your thoughts and insights.
In the comments below.
We'd love to hear from you.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes.
To keep those brain cells firing.
Keep them active.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
On this deep dive.
Into the world of J. Krishnamurti.